Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video we're going to be going over the top teams you can run for the Primal Mirage Frostspike on day 1. And these teams which I'm going to show you are the top performing teams that were used on the Vietnam server, but there are two other teams that I kind of created. For example, if you don't have other key heroes, and I do think that they're going to do really well, and so I think they're going to be good options that you can try too. But do keep in mind that, as always, whenever a Primal Lord comes out onto the global server, if you've been around for the previous season, you will know that every day there is a lot of testing which is done, and there are a lot of like famous kind of cooks or chefs who build different comps and want people to test them, and so every day potentially there could be upgrades to the best team comp. However, it does seem like with this boss, it's kind of a simplistic boss. Doesn't seem like they're very complicated mechanics to it, but I do think that definitely over time there are going to be upgrades, and as soon as they come out, then I will share them with you in an updated video. But for right now, for day 1, these are going to be great teams that you can run. Now, the number one thing you're going to notice is on all of the teams, I haven't selected an artifact, because the artifact you're going to want to use is actually the Frostfall Spell. And this is going to be obtained by the final story mission, which will be unlocking tomorrow. So what you should do is complete that story completely, get the Frostfall Spell, level it up as far as you can, ideally up to level 19 if you have that available, and then begin doing your attacks. This artifact has a really good stat distribution, attack and haste for damage, and also it has a really good effect. It is like the seasonal version of Star Shard spell. After you cast 4 of your ultimates on your team, you're going to summon a blizzard, and the blizzard is going to deal true damage to the opponent equal to a percentage of the team's attack. And it does get a really good upgrade when you can get it to level 20, because then after 3 ultimate casts you will be able to activate the effect. But to get to level 20, as you can see, you're going to need to have resonance level 600, which is not going to be anytime soon for anyone on the global server, but towards the end of the boss we probably are going to make it there. Okay, with all of that covered, let's go ahead and show you the different formations we have. Now, the 3 formations which are tried and tested, top performing teams, but I have 2 different test versions that I really think are going to do well, and I think would be good options even on day 1. So I'm going to first of all show you for day 1, there are 2 different teams that you can run. The free-to-play more friendly version is going to be here with the Reinier position swap, the Odie to the front. You have the Shakira and the Mikola, and then you have Sonya buffing up Mikola and Odie. And the reason this team is going to be good is Odie is going to be up in the front, Shakira will be buffing up all of your grouped up allies in the front, Mikola giving the attack buff to your team from controlling the honor arena, and also haste buff to the Odie, and then Sonya ramping up even Odie and Mikola's damage further. So overall, this is a great team. And another thing to actually mention is that for this boss specifically, basically the boss has a skill which is going to negate the effect of any debuffs you inflict onto the boss, and so probably what ends up happening is even the Mythic Plus upgrade of Reinier, which causes like the enemy to take 25% bonus damage, we think that that is not actually going to apply, and so it's actually possible that maybe even if you have Reinier at Legendary Plus to just give the attack buff to your position swapped ally, that would be enough. You might not need to have him at the higher Mythic Plus level. So that is an important thing. And the other kind of reason you're using Reinier is he gives a big healing boost to the ally who is position swapped, and the reason the healing is important is because the boss is going to freeze like your hardest hitting damage dealer who has dealt the most cumulative damage and reduce their health by 95%, so down to 5% health, and you need to heal up to over 50% health ratio in order to cleanse that frozen effect. Otherwise that hero is going to be shattered and destroyed, instantly defeated. And so that is kind of the reason Reinier is good. But like honestly, you know, he could probably work even at I think maybe one copy just for this charm effect and the healing that he'll provide. But like legendary plus would be a nice breakpoint because it will give the attack buff to the OD as well. But yeah, okay, so this is a great team. Now another great team, and this is the overall going to be the top performing team when we only have one Mauler buff tile, which is going to be at the beginning of the boss. And you're going to have your Elijah in the front because we want the Elijah to be teleported into the boss, so that Shakir can ideally buff him up, and Lila in the back. You're going to be linked up to Shakir and Odie. Reinier again position swapping the Odie, and Mikola in front of the Shakir. With this positioning, Shakir is going to end up right in the central position of the boss, and he's going to be buffing up as much of your team as possible. It's really an optimized position. And you're going to run the Frostfall Spell, and this is going to be the best team if you have the Twins and Reinier belt. Now, people have been asking, if you only have one copy of the Twins, should you run this team or should you run the other team? I'm not entirely sure. You can do a run of each, and by tomorrow I'll be like more sure about it and I can inform you guys. But I think that if you only had one copy of the Twins, I would probably go with the other team comp, because from whatever the testing was done, there wasn't a huge difference in score between these two teams. And so I think if you don't have the Twins properly built up, probably it's better just to run the other team option. But yeah, this is kind of the thing. You don't actually need, I guess, Reinier at Mythic Plus. I think just getting him like Legendary Plus would be enough for his full value for this team. And maybe even one copy can work, but I'll let you guys know about that as well. Okay, those are the two big team comps. Now, there is a 2-tile. So at the end of the boss, this was the overall top scoring team on the final day of the boss. However, it is taking advantage of 2 Mauler buff tiles for Smokey and Frestro, I believe. And you're going to have main Frestro in front of Shakir, Illusion in the back. You're going to have Elijah up front and in order to be buffed up by the Shakir, and then Lila in the back. This is the team comp. It is something potentially you could try on day one. I'm sure it would be decent on day one as well. However, I think it is really going to shine on the final days of the boss when you do have the 2 faction talents. I think this is when the team really takes off. But this was the ending top scoring team. And so this is really important to show, because this is something that, unless any other upgrades are found in global server testing, this is something you're going to want to run on the final days when you have the 2 different faction talents unlocked. And if we want to try with 1 faction talent, it might also work well. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, that is what we have for those 3 teams. Now, I want to show you guys some test options that I said, okay, let's say you don't have Reinier. Then you can probably try these teams. So I was like, okay, in the free-to-play version, which hero is going to be the kind of the best replacement? And I think that Smokey would be good, because Smokey can provide healing along with Mikola. Hopefully that healing is going to be enough to allow Odie to cleanse the frozen effect onto Odie, because you need to have healing, and ideally a burst of healing, so that Odie, the freeze state of Odie, is going to be removed. Otherwise, if you don't heal him in time, the Odie is going to get instantly defeated and your damage output will be lower. So I was thinking Smokey is good. Smokey is good for other reasons. He gives attack buff to your team and haste buff to your team, and that is really good as well. And I have planned to have Shakir over here, because it seems like, and from a little bit of testing I did in Dream Realm, is that if you have Shakir behind the Mikola here, just like in the one of the other Twins teams for the 1-tile best team, then Shakir will usually ending up in the middle position here. And that is perfect. You want to have Shakir right here, because then he can buff up your Smokey, he can buff up Mikola, Sonya, Odie, everyone all grouped up together. It is perfect. He will get the maximum value of his Lupines or attack buff. That is another important thing. If you don't have Shakir at plus 10 exclusive equipment, make that a priority. This is going to give you a huge boost in this Primal Lord, because all the top teams are running Shakir, and I do predict in the future that they will continue to run Shakir, because he gets a lot of value with the buffs he can provide for your team. And yeah, Odie will be on the buff tile, and he will be teleported into the enemy side. Smokey, Mikola, and then Sonya buffing up Mikola and Odie. I think this is going to be a great team option you can try if you don't have Reinier at all. If you have even one copy of Reinier, you can give him a try. Just with his charm effect and his healing, he might be enough for your team that you won't even need to run something like this. But I think this could be a not bad option as well, but not as good as the Reinier version, of course. Okay, now here's another final team. Now what I've kind of done with this team is, again, I have the same strategy. I want to have the Shakir end up in the middle position. I also want to have Odie on the faction talent buff tile so that he can be teleported into the front and begin damaging the boss. And we have Elijah up front, Lila in the back, further buffing up Odie with the Stellar Bond, Sonya buffing up Odie and Mikola. Like, Odie's basically ramped up to maximum here, and I'm hoping that Shakir will end up in the middle position so that he can buff up like Elijah and all of your other allies up in the front. I think this can be a good team. Again, with all of these teams, Frostfall Spell is the artifact you're going to want to run, and because you get it from the story, everyone will have access to it, and so that you should complete the story, get that artifact before you do your attacks. But I think this team can work out really well. Yeah, Elijah in the front, Lila in the back, like we said, and otherwise this is the team. Basically a twins team if you don't have Reinier. Anyway, guys, that is going to cover the top 5 teams that you can run as of right now. And what I would recommend is the overall top one is this twins team that we mentioned. But if you don't have the twins, or maybe they're low copies, then you can go for this version. Otherwise, if you don't want to run a Reinier team or you don't have Reinier, you can try my test teams as well. Or you can even try this team if you have the twins and Fresto, but I think this is going to do better towards the end of the boss. But anyway, guys, you can share your thoughts in the comment section. I hope this is helpful. As for the charms are going to be very important, but the key heroes you want charms are, and also eventually upgrading them to epic, are going to be Odie, who's your damage healer, twins, who are your buffer, but you'll get that from the charm merchant cheaply, and then Reinier for a more powerful charm effect. Those are the key heroes. Upgrading Mikola and Shakir charms, like just getting them in a purple set, an elite set will be fine, like, and not too expensive. Getting them epic, I would not make it a big priority because their damage is pretty low and their charms are really only going to improve their own damage, like by getting the upgrade, and so it isn't really much of a priority. But if you go for the Fresto comp, you'll want to get his charms because it will give him attack percent to increase his damage output. If you're going for Sonya, definitely, and eventually get her epic charms because that will give a better... Well, actually, her charms are probably not going to affect this boss because the boss, like we said, you cannot actually apply debuffs onto him. They're basically negated. And so Sonya's charm effect is actually like a defense reduction shred, and I think that is not going to take effect against this boss. So anyway, guys, I hope this was helpful. Good luck on the first day of the Primal Lord. And like I mentioned, as soon as any other top teams come out, I will be making a video soon after reset, so definitely watch out for that. But these are definitely, if you go for these teams and use them even throughout like the next 10 days, you're going to end up doing really well in the Primal Lord as well, because these are tried and tested, other than the test versions I have here, but I do think they're going to do well as well. But these other ones, these have all been proven to be the top performing teams on the Vietnam server. So thank you guys for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. If you want to chat with me more, you can join my AFK Journey Discord server. There's a link to that in the description of this video. But thanks for watching, and until the next video, everyone, peace out for now.